Happy Pine Day to everybody who celebrates. I hope you celebrate, or else what else are you doing here? I'm Martin Irving, your
They're
host.
creepy. They're creepy if they're here, but they don't celebrate.
The Russian bots are back. And we're also
Scary.
back. We're on a bit of a hiatus. You know, life is busy this time of year, and we did have a video plan for you guys. We went to go see the Leafs in Pittsburgh. We filmed
And
an
we
intro.
forgot.
Nothing else after that.
Do we tell them about the mess we had in the hotel?
No,
No?
no.
Okay. What happens in Pittsburgh stays in Pittsburgh.
That's the and Boston Pizza Night.
That also stays in Boston Pizza.
We talk about it then.
That is true.
But we're here in the now. And something the Russian bots, or any Russians for that matter, can't participate in. Our favorite Christmas holiday festivities, the World Juniors have announced all their lineups for this upcoming tournament.
I'm standing Denmark. Denmark for the win. All the way. Next year we get Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is winning it all next year.
Well, then they would have great success.
Success, very nice.
Been nice.
This is my neighbors. These massive pains in my assholes.
Shout out to Aaron again. Uh, so yeah, the all the rosters are out. There are some rosters that you could have predicted. Some of them are a bit more surprising than others, and we're gonna go through those and discuss those.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could have put together a better team because like there are a couple guys on here I didn't even know they existed. The
Let's
Canadians have the Canadians have a weird thing for having a bunch of guys that are like undrafted this year.
well, how about we talk about that first? Talk about the home team, home
Do we
team
want
for
to
us,
talk
not the whole
about
tourney.
do we want to talk about what it is now, or do you want me to go into what I thought the team was going to look like?
How about we talk about what it is now and then some glaring omissions.
Alrighty, and then talk about like just completely what I had it like in the summer because a lot of these guys now they're not really glaring omissions anymore
Yeah,
compared to like when we just got the roster.
yeah,
All
sounds good to
right.
me.
Well, for those who have not seen the roster yet, what
Where
are
have you
you
been
doing
at?
with your life? They've been out for a week. Anyways, this is really interesting. There are three guys from my hometown team. Forwards wise, we got Potras. He just got confirmed to come back. Well, actually, no, he's coming for his first time back. Actually, Boston. I think it was today. Boston sent him.
Yeah,
Today's as of today, Tuesday. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was today that Potras got sent back. He had a little back and forth with Jeremy Swayman. Did you watch that video?
I did not.
No, it says video. Swayman challenges him to a three shot, see if he can score. Right, Canadian American. Yeah, he got brick walled. On
Experienced
top,
swimming.
yeah, on top of that, the youngest player on the roster, projected first overall pick, Macklin Celebrini, has made the team. Um, there's one lone returnee in Owen Beck. He's the only guy that's actually played for Team Canada in the World Juniors so far that's actually in the lineup. And actually, he's the only option they have. So last year they were an older team, right? Owen Allard from up in Sault Ste. Marie. Easton Cowan, Leafs legend. Fraser Minton is also there. Nate Danielson, noted Red Wing. Matt Savoy finally makes his arrival in World Juniors hockey. It's only been 3 years.
Took long enough.
Connor Geeky, who got snubbed last year, is here. Jordan Dumais, who got snubbed last year, has made it. Carson Rakoff, who seemingly came out of nowhere this year, is on the team. And then Braden Yeager, right, is also there. And then we don't know who that last forward is yet. I know they're waiting for Zach Benson. I'm getting a sneaky suspicion though that it's probably going to be Jagger Furcus. Defensively, they got Oliver Bonk,
Hmm.
great name. Jake Furlong, another known Moosehead. Maverick Lamoureux, Tristan Luneau, Denton Mateychuk, cut from last year, Tanner Mollendijk, and Noah Warren. And then defense goaltending wise, they don't have the guy that I expected to be their number one this year. They're rolling with Matisse Rousseau, Scott Ratzlev, and Samuel St. Hilaire. So it's a massive shakeup from what I thought was going to happen in like August.
Yeah, there's one guy I expected to be on that decor this year, and that guy is Ty Nelson. He's a former first overall pick in the second round pick to Seattle. I think second or third. But
He was a second or I think he was a third. I think he slipped due to size.
yeah, he's an absolute stud on the blue line. How he got cut, I'm not sure. I'm not
Yeah.
really familiar with any of their defensemen. I'm more familiar with their forward core. But
Well, I mean, I
I
can tell
mean,
you about the defenseman Bonk. I mean, Bonk's good. He's a first round talent.
Bonk's the only one I know. He's the only
Furlong
one
is
I've
on an
seen.
NHL contract right now and a team captain. He dominated when they were playing U Sports. Lamoureux, he's big, he's tall, he's mean. I think he actually just walked on the team. Luneau is a former QMJHL first overall pick. I think he was a first or second round pick to the NHL. He's gotten a couple reps with the Ducks this year. Mateychuk almost made the Jackets out of camp. He's a stud. Mollendijk got a contract right off the bat this year. Noah Warren is an older defenseman, but right, he's also really good too. So I mean, like their decor is actually really good. But yeah, there are definitely some glaring missed opportunities here.
Is there any guy that wasn't even an invite that you kind of look at
Not
and you're
even an
like,
invite.
where was this guy?
Okay, well, I know right, one guy that I was kind of expecting is I expected Kevin Korchinski to be loaned back, and that never happened. I expected Owen Pickering to be here. I was expecting an invitation for Mats Lindgren over in, I think he's still in Kamloops, right? And right, like these guys, just nobody heard from them, right? They were just nowhere to be found. And I also had right, it was a little bit of a weird move, but I had Sam Dickinson getting invited.
Yeah, I mean, that's most likely a next year thing,
Yeah,
but it
but
could
I
have
thought,
happened this year.
I think he could have cut it with them, right? He's big, he's mean,
Oh yeah.
he can transition, right? But like it really threw me off when Nelson got cut, and it was really odd when Pickering wasn't invited because Pickering would be one of their older defense options.
Yeah, there's a one guy. I mean, he's not having a really good year in the but not having Colby Barlow is a very interesting, like not even having him as an invite. I mean,
No,
Owen
I'm
Sound,
not surprised. I mean, Dom DiVincentis got an invite for being rough this year, but I mean, I think it was pretty clear based on the forwards they brought that Barlow just he wasn't good enough to be in their top six, and he's not really the type of guy you put in your bottom six, right? So I didn't think Barlow was going to be in their top 12 anyway. Like back in the summer, I don't know why I just didn't have him in the lineup, but I had him. I had him as their 14. But I'm not overly surprised that he didn't get an invite because he's been having a bit of a rough year.
I would expect him to be maybe be an invite next year, depending on.
I think
I
he's still
imagine there'll be a
eligible
lot of
next year.
returnees next year,
I
but
think he's
I
going to
could see him.
be. I think he's eligible next year
Yeah,
because it was the same thing I was telling people about Crystal. Right? Everybody was freaking out that Crystal didn't get invited. Crystal doesn't really fit their lineup, and they have older options in Matt Savoy and in Jordan Dumais. So it didn't really make sense to bring Crystal too. I mean, Crystal's eligible next year, so odds are Andrew Crystal's also he's going to make the team next year.
Savoy and um Dumais. This will probably be their last year. Savoy for sure.
No, Savoy. No, I think both of them. This is their last year, regardless.
Yeah,
Neither are eligible next year.
I expect to see Lavoie in a Sabres jersey sooner than later.
He was in a Sabres jersey to start the season this year.
I
He
know,
played like
kid's a
one game and
stud.
they got sent down.
Yeah,
Yeah, no. What's funny, talking about smaller forwards, there was actually another forward that I had listed that absolutely nobody did. No one had this guy, but another Leafs prospect. I had it in the mix that maybe Nick Moldenhauer got his name in there. Right? I'm not sure how much you know about Moldenhauer. Right, but he's a smaller forward. He's got a natural like offensive ability. He played with the Chicago Steelers in the NCAA now. Like I figured maybe Moldenhauer could have been a guy to invite, but nope, never heard his name once by anybody.
Yeah, he's a prospect I should probably be more familiar with, but I'm not at the moment. But I think I've heard a lot of good things about him, and yeah, that's as far as I go with it. But I like because he's a Leaf pick, I support that.
Yeah, well, like I said, like it's just really interesting because like I'll tell you my lineup, right? What I was expecting to see last year, like in August, right? So forwards wise, I was expecting David Goyette to make the team, right?
Oh yeah.
At first, I thought maybe there was a possibility that Shane Wright comes back. Um, for some reason, I had it written in as Morgan Geeky. I don't think that's who I meant. I had Crystal in my lineup. I had Matthew Wood in my lineup. I had Ludwinski. I had Barlow. Defensively, I had Korchinski, Pickering, Nelson, Jorian Donovan. And goaltenders wise, like I had Dom DiVincentis and Barneson. None of those guys made the team. And then I mean, like other options wise, like I was expecting, Moldenhauer, like I said, Callum Ritchie, Berkeley Catton, I thought might have been an option. Josh Philman from out west, Mats Lindgren. Absolutely no, none of them even got invited. Right? It's interesting to see that right, they're going on a very different path from what they did last year.
It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
Oh, I think it'll pay off, right? Like I don't think this is as strong as what they had going last year, but they're going to be a strong team. Right, you currently have probably the top goaltender in the CHL right now, with Matisse Rousseau, backed up by a high-end goalie prospect in Ratzlaff. And I don't know too much about Sam St. Hilaire, but if he's on the roster over Dom DiVincentis, he's got to be doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, despite Dom's year, he was the top goaltender in the O last year, and he's just, he's an NHL drafted goalie. He's
He's
drafted
signed
by the
goalie.
Jets.
He's
He's signed,
signed.
yeah, and he's just I mean, he's a really good goalie.
Yeah, and he's never made the World Juniors either. He's never been on the World Juniors team. So
Yeah.
this was his only chance to be a World Juniors goalie, and it's gone.
Yeah, it's a bummer to see. I mean, I as you know, I've seen him many times with the battalion being in the same conference as Niagara, and it's frustrating to watch your team play against him. But I mean, he's so fun to watch. He's such a good goaltender, and
Yeah,
it's a shame to not see him suit up for Canada.
no, it really is, right? Because like even like before, I had it figured out that Canada always has their true number one, right? And I figured he was going to be the true number one because as of last year, he was on God the best goaltender in Canada by a
Oh yeah,
mile, right? So I just don't know what happened there. Right? And I mean, you look at the guys like have now, like Matisse Rousseau will probably be solid. Scott Ratzlaff will probably be good, and Samuel St. Hilaire will probably be the guy that wins the gold medal because we know how Team Canada works, right? It's always the third stringer that goes on to win it.
that's
But
true.
yeah, no, it was definitely a shame to see DiVincentis miss out. It was a shame to see Ty Nelson miss his last shot as well. Paul Lidwinski, it's kind of sad too. He's battled through a lot, but I mean, at the end of the day, it is it's business, and they know more than we do most likely. So you know,
Drake, one of the teams they're probably going to be seeing eventually down the road. One of the teams with the most returning players. Uh, it pains me to say, but they have a pretty good looking roster. Team USA.
oh, the Americans are going to be nasty.
It's
They
unfortunate,
are
isn't it?
stacked. Like this team is like top to bottom elite. right? Their defense is strong, it's fast, it's offensive. Their offense is big, it's mean, a lot of offensive talent, and their goaltending is solid, right? Like, there's not really a bad thing you can say about the American roster right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of experience there. There, whoa, there's a lot of experience on that roster, and it's gonna show. You got a lot of high end first round draft picks on that team.
Well, totally. I mean, you think like you got Cutter Gauthier, that guy was in the top 10, right? Frank Nazar, high draft pick. Oliver Moore was projected to go in the top 10. He didn't, but he was. Kerry Terrence, one of the better players in the O right now. Gavin Brindley was a high pick. Rutger McGroarty was a high pick. Uh, Isaac Howard was a first rounder. Gabe Perreault, one of the most skilled players in the last draft. Jimmy Snuggerud, like that right there alone, right? And you think about their defensemen, right? They got Casey, they got Chesley, they got Hudson, right? They got Rinzel, right? Like all like high end, top caliber players this year. Oh, and who else was it? Leonard, Ryan Leonard, also a high end like first round guy. Like this team is built to win, right? They're a young team. Most of them will be able to come back next year, right? But like it's strong, like top to bottom.
There's one guy that comes to mind that was omitted, not even invited as a invite, and a lot of us in the Ontario community are really shaking our heads at it.
I assume you're talking about Hunter Brustevich.
I'm talking about the very one.
I don't understand it, man. Right, guy was leading. He's like, think he's still like the leading defenseman in points in like the league right now.
He's the second overall leader too in points.
Yeah, like how do you leave that out?
You have to wonder. I mean, he's absolutely killing it on the Rangers right now. And
Yeah, like I mean, I understand if the reason they did it is because he's too similar to Wayne Hudson, right? But it doesn't make sense to me that you would leave him off, right? It's bizarre.
yeah,
So I don't know. Maybe it's maybe, and I wanted to say it was a CHL thing because Quentin Musty got left out too, right? But I mean, Musty, you could argue it was due to his suspensions. But when you think about it, right? You got Gavin Hayes made the team, and you got Kerry Terrence there, and you got Sam Hildebrandt. It's not even drafted, right? So I mean, it's clearly not a CHL thing. There's something else going on here.
yeah. I mean, I was gonna make the argument that two out of three OHL players on that roster are American teams. I mean, Terrence plays for the Otters, Hayes plays for Flint, but then you have Hildebrandt who plays for Barrie, and that kind of negates that argument. So
I mean, it kind of makes sense, but maybe right? Like, who were their other goalie options is the question, right? Because I mean, they got Augustine and Fowler, right? But off the top of my head, I can't really think of another goalie. So they probably took Hildebrand because they didn't have another option.
yeah, and I mean Hildebrandt really isn't making any noise in the O either. I mean, he's having
I
a
mean,
very
he's been good, right?
he's
Like
been
he's
good,
good,
but
but he's not like like lights out like top goalie in the league kind of right that we typically see out of a goalie.
it doesn't help
Um,
that Barry's having an awful year too. It's
yeah, Barry's been rough. Brad Clark leaving probably one of the worst things that could happen to them.
and it's bound to happen. I mean, Marty Williamson built that team to win last year, and they didn't do it. And now it's a thing that happens to every team in the O, except maybe London. And
Yeah, and even then, London's not. It's not like London's the top team in the league right now,
they were projected to be the top
and
team
they're
in the
not.
West,
It's
and
right now. It's like you right, like
they're like
Saginaw
fourth,
and
I
Sault
think,
Ste. Marie are like the two best teams in the league right now.
and Kitchener.
Yeah, Kitchener, which is funny because nobody expected Kitchener to be good this year.
No, Kitchener came out of nowhere. I mean that they swept the top team in the West in the playoffs last year, and
Who the
ever since then
Shitfires?
yeah, they've just been on an absolute tear.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I
It
mean,
just Kitchener's always iced a good team though. Like they're consistently a great team.
well, yeah, and they always have guys that go to the World Juniors too, right? So
Oh
Again,
yeah.
like back to the right, like back to this. Like it's weird that Bruce, right, being a Ranger, from a team that, there's typically one or two guys that go a year. And Bruce was not one of them this time. It's weird.
Yeah,
Right? There's something they don't like about him.
it's something that really makes your head shake.
It really does. I mean, well, actually, I'm gonna go look it up right now, because I want to see maybe he's eligible next year. Maybe that's what they're doing, is because they wanted Hudson this year, right? They wanted Hudson to play because he can play next year, maybe. Let's see. When's his birthday? Oh no, he's not going to be able to play next year. He's 19 right now, right? And his birthday's in November. So yeah, I don't know why they didn't bring Bruce.
I mean, you look at
Guy's
him,
on pace for 110 points this year. He's got
he's
48
tied.
assists in 34 games.
He's tied for first in points as a defenseman
And you left
in
him
the O.
off.
And he's tied with
Yeah, he's chasing
Team
down
Canada
Raykoff.
player Carson Raycroft.
Yeah, well, okay, now here's the other one now that I'm looking at it, right? Both Barkey and Goyette got left out, right? But they're both in the top 10 for points. Um, right? Like Hunter Height was another, or was it Hunter Height or Riley Height that I was thinking? It was a
Maybe
Height.
Hunter. Hunter's having a really good year.
Who?
Hunter.
Yeah.
He's having a really good year
Actually, I think
right
that's who
now.
I was thinking.
He's got
Um,
38 points in 30 games right now.
well, here's the other one, Luke Misa.
Misa
Luke
really came
Misa
out of
was
nowhere this
like
year.
Misa's really good. On top of it, was it Anthony Romani? He's
Romani's been
top of the
good.
league right now. Um, what is it? I'm looking here. Matthew Sop. How old is Matthew Sop?
He's a 20.
He's 20, so he wasn't eligible, right? But Romani would be somebody I'd expect we see next year at the rate he's going.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Canadians could have a very strong team, right? You got like Green Tree, you got, you know, Perek, you got right, you got I'm looking at the list now of
You could have
guys.
miracle
Misa
artists
probably
there.
plays next year, right?
You could have
Um,
both Misas there next year.
yeah, they could have both Misas, right? They could have Green Tree, they could have Martone next year, right? But it's interesting to see the decisions they made is they didn't really bring all their like the top Canadian players. They really built it a certain way to the way they wanted the team and left off some like major players. A lot more than they usually do. Because typically they kill everybody with their sheer skill, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a head scratcher for sure what's going on with rosters this year.
And you look at a guy like Luke Misa, and he's under the radar of everybody, yet somehow he's a late bloomer. Like
Yeah.
this is his second year of eligibility
Luke
for the
Misa?
draft. Yeah,
Are you sure?
pretty sure this is his third year in the O
Give me a second. I'm looking at this. Misa.
because he his first year in the O was the COVID year.
Are we talking the same Misa? Luke
Yeah,
Misa,
we're
yeah.
talking about
No, Luke Misa is an '05. This is his first year of eligibility. You're thinking about the other one.
which is weird because he's played 3 years in the O.
Yeah. There are three Misas, aren't there?
Unless he's a late birthday. No, there's only two.
He's a late birthday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, we're
right? So I
going.
mean, yeah, Luke Misa is in his first year eligibility. And then
Yeah,
Michael Misa, right, is the '06. So he'll be or the
yeah,
'07. So he will be next year. Next year's
yeah,
draft? Yeah, he'll be
yeah.
next year's draft.
He'll probably be number one, if not top three for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's an early '07.
Yeah,
Because I think that lines up too, because I think I remember watching, right, that it was Gavin McKenna. I think he's like a 2026, but he's an '07, but he's a late '07.
yeah,
Right? So that guy's just going to be ripping up that damn league for years. But think about that. That's an option too, right? Is next year, not only could Luke Misa be on the team, right? Exceptional status, but there's also the possibility that, Gavin McKenna, who you could argue could have been exceptional status, will also be on the team. And then never forget the fact that Connor Bedard theoretically would be eligible next year as well.
That's wild to think about, eh?
It's wild to think that we could have had 4 years of Connor Bedard in World Juniors.
What could have been?
Yeah, well, even then, right, like a lot of people are arguing this year too about Shane Wright, right? A lot of people are like, well, why didn't Shane Wright go back? He's eligible. I'm like, if you're in Shane Wright's shoes for a second, right? Think about it. Do you really want to go back? As Shane Wright, you've won your chip. You've been the captain. What's the point of going back, right? You're 19 years old. You want to play pro. That's probably like the Seattle Kraken didn't want to send him anyway. I don't think he wanted to go. Be quite honest.
No, you ended
I
off
don't think he was
perfectly.
interested.
No, you ended off perfectly. Do you want to go back and risk, you know,
Risk a
losing
Kirby Doc.
that too?
Yeah. Well, exactly, right? Like, it's not worth it,
No.
right? So, I mean, at that point, why not just, stay pro, right? Develop, because I think that's what they want. I think that's what the Kraken want for him, and that's what he wants,
Yeah.
right? Let your other teammates, right? Like, unfortunately, not Ty Nelson, but like Carson Rakoff is there, right? Let him do his own thing, right? Show him, show everybody that he's great, and then when he comes up, it's not going to be, oh, well, Rakoff's a product of Wright. It'll be Rakoff and Wright are both really good hockey players, right? Like it's a really interesting situation. Same as Bedard, right? Bedard and Korchinski could have gone back, but why would the Hawks risk them getting injured, right? What's the point?
Yeah, they've already accomplished exactly what they wanted to. Leave it at that.
Yeah, well, yeah. What's the point of Bedard going back so we can dummy people again,
Yeah.
right? Well, that was the
Um,
other thing. Like even earlier than that, like right at the draft, I was expecting Fantilli and Bedard to go back, and that would just be absolutely cracked,
right?
right? Like that would be ridiculous if both Bedard and Fantilli or Bedard, Fantilli, and Wright all went back. It would be ridiculous. And then imagine you get Celebrini on top of it.
You
It'd be
would not have to
crazy.
worry about anybody.
No, no, it'd be over. Just those four guys alone, like up the middle, it's gross.
Yeah, that would be 20-0 games.
Yeah, well, I was reading something today too. Like they were dominating. I think it was Denmark they played today, and they were dominating them, right? And I guess like what is it, Fraser Minton? He's been playing the wing, and he looks at home on the wing.
Yeah, he's going to be exciting. And,
Uh,
he's not, except for Leafs fans, he's not really under the radar of a lot of guys. And I think he's going to have a huge tourney this year for sure.
yeah. Well, I think another one like we need to be expecting too is Easton Cowan, right? Like a lot of people,
Oh,
everybody was
yeah.
talking about at the draft, right? They're like Easton Cowan, who is this kid? Like this guy probably should have gone like in the fourth round. What are the Leafs doing? And he's casually like one of the best players in the OHL right now,
Yeah, he's a stud.
right?
I
Like
knew
he's,
I
I
knew
think
that
he's
draft
he's
pick right
expected for a
away.
good tournament.
I knew right away when they drafted him. I'm like, I knew who he was. I knew his game. I'm like,
Yeah, well,
this is
you
an
knew because you see him
underrated
all the
pick.
time.
Oh yeah. I'm like, this is an underrated pick. He's gonna be great. And sure enough, I mean, they love him. They
Yeah,
didn't
we
want to send
proved
him
all
back.
training camp that he proved all training camp how good he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
No.
it's going to be an interesting World Junior for sure.
Is there a team, Drake, that is not one of the main teams that but has a roster that could surprise people?
I don't know. I mean, like I always say, Sweden and Finland, right? Because I mean, Sweden and Finland typically ice pretty strong teams, right? We know the Czechs gave Canada a little bit of trouble last year. I'm not sure how great the Czechs are going to be this year. So I think last year was the best that we were going to see the Czechs for a while. But I think the Czechs are still going to be good. The Slovaks are going to be a little bit rough because Slavkovsky isn't going, right? They really wanted Slavkovsky to go, and they Habs won't give him up. Other than that, right? Like I don't expect much out of Denmark. I don't really expect much out of Switzerland. I believe Latvia is still in the top division. I don't expect much out of them. And I mean, well, the Germans, they're all right, but they don't really have any headliners this year. Where it's not like in previous years where they'd have a Stutzel or they'd have a Paterka, right? Like the best player this year is probably Julian Lutz, right? Like I'm just not sure. Um, I would say dark horse. What considers dark horse? Do I have to leave out like the four big countries,
No,
like the big four?
you can talk about Darker.
Okay, dark horse. I think the Swedes are going to do more damage than people think.
I
I
like
don't know
that.
why. I just think the Swedes are going to do more. Because give me a second. I'm going to pull up the Swedes quickly. Sweden World Junior 2024 roster.
And you remember a couple of years ago when Germany was getting lit up every night, but Jimmy Sue was absolutely
Yes.
demolishing goaltenders?
Yeah. So give me a second. I'm looking for this. So the Swedes, right? So well, they tried to get Leo Carlson. Ducks didn't send him though, right?
He's not going.
But they're rolling with Axel Sandin Palika, Matthias Havelid, Philip Bystead, Jonathan Lekkerimäki, Noah Ostlund, right? Like a lot of returnees. And like the Finns, they got like what they're missing Joachim Kemmel this year, right?
Yeah.
But they got a couple other really good guys this year. A lot of guys that are probably going to go high, this year. And in net, they got a guy. Not many people know him. His name's Nicholas Koka. I interviewed him a couple of years ago. He's a Seattle Kraken prospect. He's going to be one of the better goalies in the tournament, I think. So like both Sweden and Finland, I think are getting slept on a little bit because everybody's talking about how good the Americans are, how bad the Canadians are, allegedly, right? So nobody's really talking about Sweden and Finland right now.
Yeah. I there's always a team that will surprise you.
Yeah, one of course, right? I think it'll be really interesting if the Denmark does something.
Who is going to be this year's Czechia?
Who's going to be this year's Czechia? Probably the Finns. Probably the Finns. The question is, does Canada make the finals? I think a Canada USA final is what we need again, right?
Yeah,
I think we're
it's
show the two top teams.
death taxes in Canada versus US.
Yeah, well, I'd love to see like Germany make a final. I think that'd be interesting. I mean, I hate to say it, right? But it would have been nice to see the Russians finally back if there wasn't so much, political tension with them. Because we could have had Michkov, we could have had Demidov this year, right? Like the Russians would, on
Oh
God,
yeah.
be the best team in the tournament, hands down. It's not even close. Like,
Maybe in time it'll happen, but as of now, it's not going to
no, it's
happen.
not happening, right? But it definitely could have been interesting to see what they were going to do.
I'm not going to ask us to do predictions because the tournament, if anything, has proven in the past, it's one of the most
It never goes the
unpredictable
way it's
things in the world.
expected.
So, I also don't want to make us jinx anything. So I'm just gonna, see how it plays out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been like Beetlejuicing stuff lately, right? I say somebody's
Mhm.
name, they show up. So maybe what I'll have to do is try when I'm down in Arizona, pull it up, say the word Macklin Celebrini, and he nets a goal. Maybe that's what I got to do. And
If
it's funny because I didn't even have Celebrini on my main roster over the summer. So, I mean, it's nice to see the kid is like straight up on the roster now.
this will be a good case for himself to secure first overall.
Well, yeah, this would be what is it, the second straight year that the projected first overall pick is on the team.
Yeah,
Actually,
no,
no, it'd
it'd
be
be
third. It'd be
third.
third. It'd be
Yeah,
third because Wright was on it the year before Bedard. The difference is that Wright didn't go first overall.
yeah, that was a
Um, who was
that was a
it?
bit of a different one.
Yeah, because Power wasn't on it in his draft year.
Right.
I remember that. I don't think Power was on it in his draft year. Um, Lafreniere, I think Lafreniere was on it.
Yeah.
2019, I don't think there was because there wasn't a projected Canadian.
No.
Yeah, so I'm okay. My bad. Yeah, like every year it seems we have it. So yeah, I'd assume next year we see Michael Misa on the team then,
Yeah,
and then
Michael
next year and the year after, Gavin McKenna's probably on the team.
Misa is likely a lock for next year.
There's no way Misa's not on the team next year.
No, kid's too good. He's playing great hockey right now too.
Yeah, well, next year the Canadians are going to be dangerous, right? Because if we talk about again, right, like let's look at the roster again. Who can return? Macklin Celebrini theoretically could return. Easton Cowan could go back. Minton could. Danielson. Um, I think Rakop can. Jaeger. Wood would be able to play. Crystal will be able to play. Callum Ritchie will be available. Benson theoretically would be. Barkey would. Bonk. Uh, Mollendijk. Goaltender wise, I believe Ratzlaff, Bernison, Bradley Nadeau should be able to go. Barlow, Ethan Gauthier should be available. And then you think about the guys this year, right? I gotta go find that was I had on Elite Prospects a minute ago with the OHL, right? Right, but like OHL wise, they'll be able to bring in Zane Perek, will be an option. Actually, better yet, no, I was looking at a post earlier. Give me a second. Was some sort of prospect page.
Yeah, you would think Perek would be a lock next year.
Yeah, so think about it. So you got Berkeley Catton will be an option next year. Tidjaginla, Tanner Howe,
Oh yeah.
Clark Caswell will be an option. Luke Misa, uh, Zane Perek, Liam Greentree, Jet Luchenko, Merrick Van Acker's pretty good. Henry Muse, Sam Dickinson. You got Maxime Massey over in the queue. You got Thomas Lavoie. Like they're in a good they're in a good position for next year.
You
They're
know
gonna be
how
able
nice it
to.
would be to see an Aginla in a Team Canada jersey again?
There's a possibility that we might be able to see two Iginlas in a Team Canada jersey
Yeah.
because what is it? Jerome's youngest son Joe made his OHL debut the other night.
Oh, for
So
the
there's two
Oil
Iginlas
Kings.
running around the dub right now
Yeah. Yeah, no,
on
that was
top of on top of Jerome.
I love seeing it.
Yeah, I like it. I respect it.
It's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, if they're anything like their dad, look out.
Oh, yeah, the league's in for a treat if there's two of them.
Yeah. I mean, he was always one of my favorite guys that never played for a team that I cheered for. But I
Yeah,
love
actually, now
I
I think he's probably on. He was always on teams that you weren't cheering for.
he always played in the West, it seemed.
Well, no, and he was on Boston at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah, other than the Bruins, he was in the
And he was on
West
the
for
Pens.
he was a Penguin, yeah.
He was a Penguin. He was a Bruin. He was an Av. He was a Flame. And I think he was somewhere else too.
He finished his career with LA.
Did he?
Yeah. He played like 12
Jeez.
games or something for that in his final year.
Ginla really got around in his last couple of seasons,
Yeah.
and he still came back to Calgary.
Yeah, he's the most beloved man in Calgary.
Yeah, gee, I wonder why. Because he's the
Oh,
probably the best player in franchise history.
I would say so.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see two more Iginlas come through the woodwork, especially with the fact that Tidge can make Team Canada next year, and I can't see a world where Team Canada does not bring him just because of the name,
If Calgary doesn't draft Tage next year, what are they doing?
bro. Like honestly, if Tidge Iginla does not get drafted by the Flames, I will be shocked. I'm pretty sure the Flames would trade up to take him.
I think there would be outrage if they don't get him.
But at the same time, do you really want? Is it really the best thing for him to go there? Because he's just going to be there in his dad's shadow the whole time,
Yeah, that's true. But at the
right? Would
same
it
time,
make
he would
not make more
become
sense to have him go somewhere else that isn't Edmonton?
he would become the favorite player on that team before he stepped on the ice if he was drafted there.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like I said, right? It's like when Josh Stone went to the Coyotes, right? He's always going to be in his dad's right shadow. He's
Hmm.
always going to have to live up to that. I mean, is that really the best thing for Ginla to go to the Flames and have to live up to his dad's legacy? Because those are some pretty big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not always the case. I mean, not really. I mean, you look at Max Domi. I mean, he's a completely different player from his dad, but everybody separates those two. I don't know if Tage is as physical as his dad was. So
I
if he's
don't think
more
he
of a
is.
if he's more of a speedy forward, which I'm pretty sure is his game, like a fast spark plug type player, he can separate himself pretty easily.
Yeah, but still, right? It's just the name value alone, right?
Oh yeah.
Because you gotta think about like Ty Domi in Toronto. Sure, he was a favorite, right? But it's not like he was an elite hockey player, right? He wasn't the face of the franchise. He's not like the all-time like best player in Leafs history. Jerome McGinley was,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's going to be rough.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
I would laugh if he got drafted to the Oilers.
The Oilers would definitely do that to trail the Flames, and I think the Oilers would be the most hated team in the league if they did that. Imagine Tigigin goes to the Oilers.
We need some spice in the league. I think that would do it.
I think it definitely would. It'd be funny.
It would be
It'd be
hilarious.
cursed as hell to see the name of Gim on the back of an Oilers jersey, but
I'm sure there's one that exists, like that
and now watch,
Gretzky
he's
Leafs
gonna go to
jersey
like
we
the
saw.
Wild. He's gonna end up on the Wild.
Remember that Gretzky Leafs jersey we saw in Pittsburgh?
Oh my God, yes, yes.
That
Why
was the
didn't we take a picture of
funniest thing.
that? Actually, here I'll tell you where
I do
Tigigin going.
I do have a photo of it.
I'll tell you exactly where Tigigin going. If I can get him to come up on friggin' Elite Prospects, that is. So let's see. Tigigin is 6 foot. You know where he's going? Coyotes.
Coyotes. Oh, they could use them.
Just because they love to draft tall players. Like, what are you looking up?
I don't know if this will come up on the screen, but
Oh my God, you did get a picture of the Gretzky jersey.
I did.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
This is amazing jersey we saw in Pittsburgh.
If only Gretzky came home.
Imagine. He probably did want to. They could have used
Wait,
them. Imagine a world where instead of being traded to the Kings,
he gets
he got
traded to the Leafs.
he gets traded to the Leafs. He plays with Doug Gilmour and Wendell Clark. 67 wouldn't be a thing anymore.
Hey, I'm currently looking at absolute nightmare fuel and look at the scores on the night. The Senators are winning a hockey game. The Hurricanes won a hockey game. The Leafs lost a hockey game. The Leafs blew it 5-2 to the Rangers. The
Jeez.
Wild are tied with the Bruins. The Islanders are beating the Oilers. All right, the Canucks are demolishing the Predators. The Hawks are somehow tied with the Avs. And the Blue Jackets blew out the Sabres 9-4.
Jeez. I thought things were supposed to be different this year in Buffalo.
Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Kirill Marchenko had a hat trick.
Wow.
Yeah. That's and Austin Matthews had 2 goals for the Leafs, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on tonight. Tonight was a weird night for hockey, apparently. It's because we weren't watching.
Because it's a Tuesday.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Random Tuesday. Yeah, things are gonna get weird.
But when you're watching at home, hopefully it's the premiere on Wednesday.
We know where Aaron's gonna be watching it.
Hey,
We know Aaron will be watching it. We know where he's gonna be when he watches it.
Aaron, you're sick. We know you have nothing to do. So I know you're watching this podcast.
Yeah, we know you're watching it. We know that you're probably using the bathroom while you're watching it.
Death taxes.
Yeah,
And Aaron
and
watching this
watching
on the
Riding the
John.
Pine.
Huge.
Massive. All right. Well, Martin, I think we've been going for probably about half an hour. We probably exhausted our topics. Time to wrap up.
Yeah, we covered a lot of grounds. I think we talked more about the OHL lead scores than we did World Juniors, but
Yeah, like
I think it
we're
was a very informative topic.
yeah, very informative, and I guess we're allowed to be rusty because it's like our first time back. Sorry for the hiatus, folks. We've been busy guys. I've been doing exams. Martin has been doing Martin things. I don't know what Martin things necessarily are, but he's been doing Martin things. Actually speaking, I thought of one last topic. I saw you in a comment section earlier today about how Kevin he got absolutely shafted.
Yeah, he's
But
he's been so underrated this year.
but I think that's something we talk about when we get to the top prospects game, yeah?
Yeah, that's a good call.
All right. Martin, would you like to take us out, my friend?
I think I will. Well, Pine Raiders. Did I say Raiders?
You said
Pine
Raiders.
Riders on the Pine.
Well, all right. We're riding a pine today.
Okay, let's go.